Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing an unboxing and a first ride video of the Velowave Ranger. So we'll get this bike out of the box, look it over, and then take it out for a ride. If you're not interested in seeing the unboxing part of this, you can skip ahead and you'll see me test riding this here in the Colorado Rocky Mountains. We'll see how it does on some big climbs. Thanks for joining, and let's take a look at this Velowave Ranger. These are important directions here as well. I always tell people to carefully open the box and not destroy it in case you need to send the bike back if there's a problem. And this tells you that very thing. As with most of my FedEx shipments these days, this bike took a real beating. It's torn up on both ends, and there are holes in the sides. So pretty typical. Somebody taped a piece over this. These kind of hits are pretty typical when you receive it, but what I am seeing that is very encouraging is that it appears that they did a real nice job of packing all of this in this high density foam. So I suspect that when I open this up, we'll have a completely intact bike with no damage. We've got nice packaging here, high density foam around all the bike parts, and there is a manual sitting right here on top. Don't try to lift all of this up and out of the top of the box. Just lay your box over on its side and drag all of this out. It's best to do this on carpet or grass, or at least a smooth surface, so that you're not going to scrape up the bike before you even get it together. So if you can, reach down inside, feel what side the front wheel is on, and then put that side up and pull everything out. This is what you'll end up with, something that looks like this, and this looks very well packaged, very nice. So it really didn't get much better than this. Let's go ahead and break this apart and we'll see what we've got inside. Underneath the first layer of foam, you'll find the bike itself. The front wheel looks like it came through shipping just fine. They do pack the front brake rotor towards the center, so that stops it from being bent from outside forces, so that's smart. A lot of shippers don't do that. This is a beautiful silver frame on this. Right here is your battery that's tied in with a couple of straps. I'm going to go ahead and pull that out, put it on the charger, and that can be charging while we put the rest of the bike together. Here's the bike stood up. Now that we've got all this foam packing unwrapped, go ahead and slide all of this back into the box and get that out of the way so that you've got a little more room to put everything together. The bike looks really beautiful in that silver. Real nice looking bike. Frame looks real nice. We'll go over exactly what it's made of and components and all of that once we get it all assembled. In a box that is in the foam along with the bicycle are the pedals, the headlight, some reflectors, the tools you'll need to put it together, a parts bag, which is nice. We've got some parts in here that are just spares, and it's nice that companies do that. And one thing that I'm real happy to see, I've never seen any other bike company do this, at least not fat tire bikes, and that is include some replacement spokes for your wheels. You have a very basic instruction manual here as well, but that will get the job done. So let's get the front wheel on this bike. I like to start with that so that I can put the side stand down. It'll be freestanding at that point, and then we can do our bars and pedals and anything else that we need to fit to the bike. Start by removing this spacer that's on your front fork. These are on there only for shipping. Take your side cutters, clip the zip tie that's on here, and pull this red spacer out of your brake caliper. You can go ahead and toss that. Remove these discs that are on there for shipping. That just helps protect your axle. Push the skewer all the way through. Take your little cone spring, put that on with the narrow side in, and just a couple of turns on that. And now we're ready to put the front wheel into the fork. If you've got a helper for this part, that's great. They can lift the bike up and you can insert the wheel. So what you want to do is get your brake rotor in, and really that's all there is to it. So the bike is now sitting on the axle. The brake rotor is in the brake caliper, and nothing's tightened down yet, but I can now put down my side stand and let the bike stand on its own. just don't lift anything. So come over here, flip that down, tighten, hold on to the other side here, tighten this down until you feel resistance. Go a little beyond that, and we'll leave it right there for now. That'll get us through the rest of our assembly, and then we'll make sure that everything's tight before we actually go for a ride. Start by loosening up the 2 clamp bolts here, and then we'll go over here to the top and we'll loosen this as well. Now we can just turn this around to the front. We don't have to worry about getting it centered and perfect at this point, because we're gonna do all those adjustments once the bars are actually on. Go ahead and take off your front cap. That means removing the 4 bolts here on the front. Your bars will kind of find their own spot. They're not really twisted and resisting at this point. Then you just flip that up, and your levers are in the right position, and your screen over here is also facing the rider. Now come back to your stem, loosen the 2 bolts that you tightened before, and loosen your top cap. And what you can now do is move the bars back and forth and align this stem with your front wheel. When you've got it in a place where you feel like everything's right, come back and just snug this just a little. You don't want to put a whole lot of pressure on it. What it's doing is tightening up the 2 bearings in your headset. And then at that point, we know that we don't have any play here that's going to cause you a rattle or anything. Come back and tighten down your 2 clamps and kind of work back and forth. Do it a couple of times, and you'll be good to go. You're almost done. Go ahead and cut off your zip tie that holds your keys onto the front cables there. This is where you'll always find keys on e-bikes. Make sure when you cut these off, you don't inadvertently cut a line or a cable here. So do that carefully. And now you've got your keys for removing your battery. This is a little alloy unit. It's not plastic, and it's got some, heft to it. So it feels pretty substantial. We'll have to see how it does out on the trail at night. But you got 1 red connector, and then you've just got your 10mm nut here. And what this will do is go through this hole right here, and you can just tighten it up on the other side, and then we'll come up to the other red connector, which you'll find right here, and plug those 2 together. So super easy to do. I don't need to show you that. I'm just going to go ahead and put this on. These are Welgo alloy pedals. You've got a right and a left. The right, you'll see an R right there, and on the left you'll see a L right there. That's how you tell them apart. So the right goes on the right side of the bike. You just turn it right hand thread, and that'll thread in. The left hand pedal has left hand threads, which is just opposite. So you put that on the other side of the bike, the left side. So that is the bike assembled. A really beautiful bike. It looks really, really good. We're going to go over all the specifics of the components and how this is made in the morning in better light. So I will roll the bike outside, and we'll go through that in the next part of this video, and then we're going to take this out for a nice ride. I've got the bike outside now, and in natural light, I gotta say, this looks really nice. It looks much more expensive than it actually is. The satin silver finish and all the black accents and all look really good out here. It looks like an expensive bike. I should mention that right now, December 2024, these bikes are selling for $11.99, so just right at $1,200. And that's a heck of a price right now. You should also keep in mind that if the tariffs go into effect here mid-January, the prices on all of these import bikes are going to go up significantly. So keep that in mind. And if you are at all at the point where you can buy, right now would be a smart time to do it. The bike is running 26 by 4-inch Kenda Crusade tires. If you watch my channel, you know that I love these tires. They're a great all-around 4-season tire, and you are much less likely to get punctures with these tires than what many of the bikes come with. The bike is powered by a 750 watt Bafang hub drive motor. This is a geared motor. It puts out 80 Newton meters of torque and maxes out at about 1250 watts of power. The bike has a 7-speed tourney derailleur, 7-speed freewheel here on the back. This is not a cassette, it is a freewheel, and it is a 14 by 28 tooth. Front, we've got a 52 tooth big ring, so that gearing combination should make it so that you're not doing much ghost pedaling at close to 30 miles an hour. The frame is all aluminum, got some nice hydroforming here, and a real nice substantial frame, very sturdy looking, very beefy. You're not going to have to worry about this flexing or having any sort of strength issues whatsoever. It's got some really nice things that go along with it as well. We've got nice lugs top and bottom for running either a rear rack or rear fender or both. I've also got 2 sets of accessory lugs here, so that you can use those for your water bottle cages, tool pouches, pretty much anything you want to put in there. The RST guide forks are actually really nice. I've had them on other bikes. I like them a lot. They're way better than the non-branded import forks that come on so many of these fat tire e-bikes. These work much better. You don't get any clunking. You have much less play, smoother action. They are a spring-only fork, no air, but they work well. You've got dampening with a lockout over here, so you can turn them all the way down and have a rigid fork, or you can have your suspension. On the other side here, you got preload, and you just crank this in, and what it's doing is compressing the spring on this side and adding a little more resistance to the fork. So if you're a heavier rider or you're riding with a heavy load, you can adjust there on the left. The black rims look really nice. We have 180 millimeter rotors with the Logan 2-piston calipers. Those work really well for these bikes. I've had them on tons of these e-bikes and never had a complaint with them. They're also easy to get pads for and to work on, so they're just a win all the way around. With the back, again, we have 180 millimeter rotor, Logan caliper, and everything looks real nice. If you look down here, you'll see a wire. This is a cadence sensor, not a torque sensor, but the new generation of cadence sensors have actually gotten really good. They feel much more natural than what they were producing, say, even 5 years ago. So I like these. They're blurring the line between good quality cadence and torque sensors. My favorite's still the torque sensor, but these are getting awful good. The seat up here, I've only done a little over a half a mile of riding, so I can't really judge it yet, but it is fairly wide and seems to be very comfortable. Coming up to the bars here, we've got the 7-speed grip shift style shifter. They now call this Revo Shift. Logan hydraulic brakes. These are great brakes. I have real good luck with them. Never had a failure on any of those, and they work really well. We've got a left side thumb throttle there. We've got the nice style grips, which are easy to remove. And we have this small screen right here. This is how you monitor your system. Let's go ahead and turn that on. I'll show you this a little bit more once we actually get out riding. But it's a very basic screen, but it gives you all the information you need. Upper right hand corner, battery condition. Left upper is speed. This is your pedal assist number. You can scroll through all the way up to pedal assist 5 and go all the way down to pedal assist 0. So we generally start out in 1 for people to get used to the bike. And here is your odometer. So a very basic screen here, but works well. For me, this tells me exactly what I want to know, which is how much battery I've got left, how fast I'm going, and how far I've gone. That's the look at the components on this bike. Next thing to do is get it out for a ride. We're going to go up and do some rolling hill riding, get into some snow, and then do some little steeper climbing. So kind of some 4-season riding here in Colorado in the Rocky Mountains, and we'll see how this bike does. But I'm going to put it back on the charger, make sure we have a topped off charge, and then we'll be ready to go. It's a really cold morning here in Colorado. So far, the Velowave Ranger is doing awesome. We're going to keep going up this road for quite a ways, and then we've got a turn off where we're going to try to do a little bit of remote riding up one of the more obscure passes here. But it depends a little bit on how much snow is up there, whether we can push through this snow or not. It's a little questionable at the moment, but we'll see once we get up there. We just pulled up to these old cabins here that were built about 1910. They were for the rail workers in the area, and most of them used to have these boardwalks going up to the front doors because the snow in the wintertime got so high that they didn't want to have to shovel tunnels to the cabins. We're now pulled up to the east entrance of the Moffett Tunnel. This is a train tunnel that goes about 10 miles underneath the Rocky Mountains, under the Continental Divide. The trains used to go on a pass up and over this until about 1920, and then this was opened up and the trains have run through this tunnel ever since. Here we are at the start of our snow test. We've got several miles of very snowy, rutty conditions heading up this more remote pass here. So we're going to see how the bike does. We may get into some deep drifts that turn us back, but we'll go as far as we can. We'll see how it does. That's the train that's heading for the tunnel that we looked at, which is in the base of that mountain back there. We're heading into a pretty challenging area here where the snow is deep and crusty and hasn't had any sun on it to speak of. So this is a good test for these big tires. You certainly wouldn't be able to come out here and do this on a normal mountain bike. You just sink right in and wouldn't be able to float over it the way you can with the big fat tires. Ooh, what a pretty day up here. This is awesome. We are about 3 switchbacks up from my last shot, and the snow's definitely getting a lot deeper. Pretty slippery up here. Bike's doing great though. Well, we made it to the turnoff where I was hoping to do some single track climbing, actually some pretty steep stuff up there, but the snow's just too deep here. This is a pretty overlook. We came from way down that valley there, and that's where we're heading back to. That's the first person I've seen all day. We are back at the car, and the Velowave Ranger did really well. It was a real nice, stable bike for this kind of riding. So let's take a look at what we did. 30 miles, and we have 46% of the battery left. So the last half of the battery always depletes faster than the first half. So I would expect to get another 15 miles out of this, what's left here. So let's call this 45 miles of kind of rough riding, very hilly, lots of climbing, sort of adventure riding. So I never call these big fat tire e-bikes mountain bikes. That's really not the category that they fall into. What they are extremely good for is going out, having a good time in the backcountry, just doing some exploring, doing some back roads riding and that kind of thing, just like what I did today. So for that, I would recommend this bike. It did a great job today. I think it looks really nice too. I think it looks more expensive than it actually is. If you decide you want to buy one of these, I'd appreciate it if you'd use my affiliate link below. Helps support the channel. Thanks guys, once again, I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one.